and was never seen again. An 8-year-old girl, whose disappearance still haunts investigators. Some of these cases were finally solved. Others remain mysteries to this day. And one will leave you questioning everything. If you're ready to dive into the darkest real-life mysteries, because the deeper you go, the more disturbing the truth becomes. This is 2 hours of cold cases. Stories of people who vanished. Secrets that refuse to stay hidden. Let's begin with a case that no one expected to turn into a miracle.
After 23 years of searching, a mother received a phone call that would change everything. Her daughter, missing since she was 6 years old, was alive. But where she had been hiding all those years would leave investigators speechless. This is the story of Kayla Unbehaun and the cold case that was solved by a single Netflix episode. Before we dive into this incredible story, I need you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button. Here's why. Over 200,000 children are abducted by family members every year. Most cases are never solved. But when stories like this reach more people, miracles happen. Your subscription helps me share these cases with millions. So click subscribe right now. Then let's solve this mystery together. July 4th, 2017. South Elgin, Illinois. It was supposed to be a normal holiday weekend. 6-year-old Kayla Unbehaun was spending time with her father, Ryan. During a visit, mother, Heather Unbehaun, had no reason to worry. Ryan was supposed to bring Kayla back that evening. But 6 p.m. came and went.
No Kale.
No Ryan. Heather called Ryan's phone. No answer. She called again.
And again.
By midnight, she knew something was terribly wrong. The next morning, Heather filed a missing persons report. But this wasn't a stranger abduction. This was parental kidnapping, and that made everything more complicated. Ryan Iskirka had no criminal record, no history of violence, but he did have something else, a plan. Within weeks, investigators discovered Ryan had changed his identity. He was now going by a different name. And Kayla? She had become someone else entirely. For Heather, the nightmare had just begun. 1 year passed.
Then 2.
Then 5. Heather never stopped searching. She posted on social media every single day. She contacted the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. She appeared on local news stations, begging for information. There were tips, dozens of them. Possible sightings in Texas, in Florida, in California, but every lead went cold. By 2027, Kayla would have been 16 years old. But Heather had no idea what her daughter looked like anymore. No idea if she even remembered her real mother. The FBI created age progression images, showing what Kayla might look like as a teenager. But without a confirmed sighting, the case remained frozen. Detective Chris Nelson of the Police Department reflected tips, but Ryan had been careful. Too careful. No social media presence. No credit card trails. No school records under Kayla's real name. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. Heather appeared on the show, making one final plea to the public. The episode included recent age progression photos and details about Ryan's possible aliases. Within 24 hours, the episode had been viewed by millions. Tips started flooding in. But one tip stood out. A viewer in Asheville, North Carolina, recognized the girl from the show. She had seen her working at a local business, and she was certain it was Kayla. Detective Nelson immediately contacted the Asheville Police Department. They began surveillance on the location. On May 14, 2023, officers spotted a young woman matching Kayla's description. She was now 19. Detective Nelson made the call Heather had been waiting 6 years to receive. "We found her. Kayla is alive." Within 48 hours, Heather was on a plane to North Carolina. She hadn't seen her daughter since she was 6 years old. Kayla was now a young woman. The reunion was emotional, overwhelming. Kayla had lived an entire childhood believing a lie. She had been told her mother didn't want her, that she had abandoned her. But the truth was finally revealed, and Slower and daughter began to rebuild what had been stolen from them. Ryan was taken into custody without incident. He was charged with felony kidnapping and custodial interference. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. But for Heather and Kayla, the real work was just beginning. Healing from 6 years of separation wouldn't happen overnight. Today, Kayla is 22 years old. She's rebuilding her relationship with her mother, one day at a time. She's also speaking out, helping other families affected by parental abduction. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, over 200,000 children are abducted by family members each year in the United States. Most cases are never solved. But Kayla's story proves that even after years of darkness, there can be light. Even when hope seems lost, miracles can happen. This case was solved because one person watched a Netflix episode and spoke up. One tip changed everything. If you're watching this right now, you could be the person who solves the next cold case. You could be the one who recognizes a missing person. You could be the reason a family is reunited. That's why I created this channel. To give voice to the voiceless, to keep these stories alive, to never let these families be forgotten. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Every subscriber helps me reach more people, and reaching more people means solving more cases. And here's where I need your help. I want to know, which cold case should I investigate next? Option 1, the grandmother who vanished from a cruise ship. Option 2, 5 cold cases solved by DNA in 2024. Option 3, the teacher who disappeared on her morning run. Drop a comment right now with your choice. 1, 2, or 3. The case with the most votes becomes my next video. Your comment literally decides what I cover next. I'll pin the top comment, and I respond to every single one. So don't be shy, let me know what you think. This one covers a missing person found alive after 15 years. And this one reveals 10 shocking cold cases that were finally solved in 2024. Click whichever one grabs you.
I'll see you there.
Faceless Justice Balance Scale. Giving voice to the voiceless. New cases every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Until next time, remember, justice may be blind, but it never stops watching.
On March 15, 2019, Detective Marcus Webb walked out of the Phoenix Police Department in Arizona and vanished without a trace. His badge, his gun, his entire life, gone. What happened next would shock investigators across 3 states and expose a dark secret buried deep in the Nevada desert. If you want to know how this 23-year veteran cop disappeared and what brought him back, hit that subscribe button right now. This case will leave you speechless. Detective Marcus Webb wasn't just any cop. Years old, 2-decade police crimes unit. Colleagues described him as methodical, dedicated, and incorruptible. His wife, Jennifer, said he'd been acting strange for weeks before his disappearance. Distant, paranoid, checking over his shoulder constantly. The last confirmed sighting was at 6:47 p.m. on March 15th, captured on surveillance footage at a gas station on Interstate 10, just outside Quartzsite, Arizona. He was alone, filling up his personal vehicle, a silver Ford F-150. He paid cash, didn't speak to anyone, and drove west toward California. When Marcus didn't show up for his shift the next morning, his partner, Detective Sarah Chun, immediately knew something was wrong. Marcus had never missed a day in 15 years. By noon, Jennifer had filed a missing persons report. By evening, every law enforcement agency in Arizona was searching for one of their own. But here's where it gets disturbing. Marcus's bank accounts showed no activity. His phone was found 3 days later, smashed to pieces in a rest stop bathroom in Blythe, California, just across the Arizona-California border. No fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. Before we reveal what investigators discovered next, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Cases like this don't solve themselves, and neither does growing your true crime knowledge. Let's continue. The FBI joined the investigation within 72 hours, treating it as a potential kidnapping of a law enforcement officer. Special Agent Linda Torres from the Las Vegas field office took lead. She noticed something crucial that local investigators had missed. Marcus had been working a cold case involving a 2003 armored car robbery in Henderson, Nevada, a case that had gone ice cold for 16 years. $4.2 million had been stolen. 2 guards were killed. No arrests were ever made. Agent Torres pulled Marcus's case files and found something chilling. Handwritten notes in the margins, names circled, connections drawn between the 2003 robbery and a current Phoenix City councilman named Robert Davenport. Marcus had been building a case in secret, documenting everything outside official channels. 3 weeks into the investigation, a hiker discovered Marcus's truck abandoned in the Mojave National Preserve in California, near the Nevada border. Inside, his detective's badge, his service weapon, and a single word written in dust on the dashboard, buried. The search intensified. Cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, aerial surveillance, nothing. Marcus Webb had vanished completely, and investigators feared the worst. What happens next will blow your mind. Drop a comment right now with your theory. Was Marcus murdered, or was something else going on? Keep watching. 6 months passed. The case went cold. Jennifer Webb held a memorial service, though no body had been found. The Phoenix Police Department prepared to close the investigation. Then, on September 23, 2019, a man walked into the FBI field office in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was thin, bearded, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. He approached the front desk and said 5 words, "My name is Marcus Webb." DNA confirmation took 48 hours. It was him. Marcus had been hiding in plain sight, working construction jobs under a fake name in Santa Fe, New Mexico. But he wasn't running from criminals. He was running from corrupt cops. Here's what Marcus revealed. 2 detectives from his own unit in Phoenix, men he'd worked with for years, were connected to the 2003 Henderson robbery. When Marcus got too close to the truth, they threatened his family. They told him to disappear or Jennifer would be next. They gave him 24 hours. So Marcus staged his own disappearance, leaving clues for the FBI while protecting his wife. The word buried wasn't about him. It was about where the evidence was hidden. Using Marcus's information, FBI agents excavated a storage unit in North Las Vegas and found detailed records of the robbery, including photos, financial, and recorded conversations. If you're loving this case, smash that like button and share this video. Justice is about to be served. Leave the ending. 2 hours of Marcus's reappearance. Federal agent of Raymond, Detective Michael, Phoenix Police Department. Both were charged with robbery, murder, and witness intimidation. Councilman Robert Davenport was arrested at his home in Scottsdale, Arizona. He'd been the inside man, providing security schedules for the 2003 heist. Marcus Webb was placed in witness protection along with Jennifer. He testified at all 3 trials. In June 2021, all 3 men were convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Marcus never returned to law enforcement, but his courage exposed one of the biggest corruption scandals in the complete investigations department in tests. Detective Marcus Webb sacrificed everything, his career, his identity, 6 months of his life, to bring killers to justice. His story proves that sometimes the most dangerous criminals wear badges, and the bravest heroes are the ones willing to stand alone against corruption. If this story moved you, subscribe to Faceless Justice for more cases where the truth finally comes to light. Hit that bell icon, drop a comment with your thoughts, and remember, justice may be blind, but it never stops watching. See you in the next case. Disclaimer. This story is a dramatized true crime narrative created for informational and entertainment purposes. While it is inspired by real investigative formats, the characters, events, and details in this account are entirely fictional. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or deceased, or to real events is purely coincidental. The content is not intended to accuse, defame, or cause harm to any individual or group. All depictions of crime are fictionalized and should not be interpreted as factual accounts. This is the murder case that shocked Hollywood, not because of who died, but because of how the killer was caught. and the bizarre way the jury decided guilt. Robin Kay, former American Idol staffer. Her husband, Thomas DeLuca, a wealthy real estate broker. Both found shot dead inside their $3 million Hollywood Hills mansion. But here's the thing, they weren't found for 4 days. And when they were, the suspect was already living in their house. July 18, 2023. Neighbors noticed something strange. The Kay DeLuca mansion is quiet. Too quiet. No cars leaving. No packages collected. And a faint smell. Police knock. No answer. They peek through the side window. Freeze. 2 bodies on the living room floor, both with gunshot wounds to the head. But here's the first weird thing. The AC was blasting. Lights on, and someone had been eating their food recently. The coroner says they've been dead for at least 4 days. So who's been inside? Security cameras? Disabled. Door locks? Reset. Almost like someone had moved in after the murders. Detectives comb the house. Upstairs bedroom. Fresh sheets. Unfamiliar clothes in the closet. A half-packed duffel bag. And then a phone. Not Robin's. Not Thomas's. A cracked Samsung with a background photo of a man they don't recognize. The phone leads to 34-year-old Marcus Trent. No connection to the couple. No reason to be there. Except, 1 week earlier, Marcus had been arrested for trespassing 2 streets away. When cops track him down, he's in a diner, eating pancakes, like nothing's wrong. They ask if he knows Robin or Thomas. He says who. They tell him they found his phone in their house. He shrugs. I must have dropped it. Here's where things get wild. No fingerprints on the murder weapon. No DNA under the victim's nails. Nothing linking Marcus to the actual shooting. But in the fridge, fresh groceries. Bought 2 days after the murders. Security footage from a local market shows Marcus paying with Robin's credit card. Police believe he killed them, stayed in the house, and went shopping. But Marcus's lawyer says, that makes no sense. Why would a killer hang around for days? Why not flee? Neighbors report seeing Marcus outside watering the plants, walking Robin's dog, even talking to delivery drivers. No blood on his clothes. No obvious panique. It's almost like he thought he lived there. Detectives find something even stranger. In the upstairs guest room, Marcus's journal. The last entry? Finally home. The trial moves fast. The prosecution says it's simple. Marcus is a squatter-turned-killer. He broke in, murdered the couple, took over the house. The defense? They argue Marcus had nothing to do with the killings. They say he found the bodies, panicked, and instead of calling police, he just moved in because he was homeless, because he was scared. Here's the kicker. The jury doesn't agree on the murder. They can't prove Marcus pulled the trigger, but they convict him anyway, on a bizarre legal twist. They say, even if he didn't kill Robin and Thomas, by living there for 4 days, by touching evidence, by eating their food, he destroyed the crime scene. And that makes him guilty of tampering with a homicide investigation. It's rare, almost unheard of. And it carries prison. It gets even if Marcus didn't kill them. Who did? Why were the cameras disabled? Why were there no signs of forced entry? And why did the couple's phones disappear? But their jewelry and cash were left untouched. The last confirmed sighting of Robin and Thomas was at a charity gala. Smiling, laughing, no signs of trouble. Hours later, they were dead and buried in Marcus's journal. A single line written in code. Detectives can't crack it, but it might explain everything. Marcus is behind bars, but detectives now believe someone else was in that house during those missing 4 days. And a new witness, a delivery driver, says he saw a woman leaving the mansion at 3 a.m. the day before the bodies were found. We'll find out. Who was she? Why was she there? And what does she know about the murders of Robin Kay and Thomas DeLuca? Marcus Trent was already locked up for tampering with a homicide investigation. But detectives now believed the real killer could still be out there. The driver's dash cam shows her. Tall, dark hair, baseball cap, carrying a duffel bag. But here's the thing. She wasn't leaving in a hurry. No running. No panique. Just calm. like she belonged there. The car she got into? Registered to someone who shouldn't even be alive. The plates came back to a man named Daniel Cross. Problem? Daniel had been declared dead 3 years ago. Cause of death? Suicide. Or, that's what the report said. Detectives start digging. Turns out Daniel Cross was Robin Kay's ex-boyfriend. They dated for 2 years before she met Thomas. Breakup? Ugly. Restraining orders. Accusations of stalking. And now, his car is caught on camera at her home. Detectives get a warrant for Daniel's old storage unit. Inside, boxes of photographs of Robin. Private moments. Vacations she didn't post online. One photo chills them. It's Robin and Thomas, smiling on their wedding day. But someone had scratched Thomas's face out with a knife. The coroner rechecks the bodies. The original ruling? Gunshot wounds to the head. But under Robin's fingernails, fibers from a black wool sweater. Thomas's body? Tiny glass shards in his hair. Those shards match the broken vase found upstairs. A vase Marcus Trent never touched. It's like the scene was staged. A former neighbor comes forward. Says she saw Robin arguing with a man outside the mansion 2 nights before she died. She's sure it wasn't Thomas. Police show her a photo lineup. She points instantly. That's him, Daniel Cross. But here's the problem. Daniel Cross is still officially dead. If he's alive, someone forged his death. And the signature on his death certificate belongs to a county coroner who resigned last year after a fraud investigation. Meaning, Daniel's death might have been faked. Remember Marcus Trent's journal? The one that said, "Finally home," and had a coded line? A forensic linguist cracks it. The code reads, "She said he's coming back." Who's he? Marcus refuses to talk, but in a chilling twist, his lawyer says Marcus believed the mansion was promised to him by a woman named Clara. Clara is a fake name. Detectives track the number Marcus had for her. It belongs to a burner phone. Last ping, same cell tower near the Cataluca mansion at 3:12 a.m. The same night the mystery woman was seen on dashcam. Detectives follow the lead to a cheap motel on the outskirts of LA. Room 207. Inside, it's empty, but on the bed, a baseball cap, a black wool sweater. DNA on the sweater matches Robin Kay, meaning the mystery woman was Robin. But that's impossible, right? Robin was already dead for 4 days when the bodies were found. Except, what if she wasn't? Forensics rerun the time of death estimates. The conclusion? Robin might have been alive for at least 48 hours after Thomas was killed. Which means someone kept her inside that house. Then she escaped. And then she vanished. Detectives get a call from an unlisted number. A man's voice says, "You're looking for the wrong person." Click. Caller ID. Registered to Daniel Cross. When police rush to track Daniel, they find his abandoned car in an alley. In the trunk, a second duffel bag. Inside, a bloodstained gun, and Robin Kay's missing cell phone. The last video on her phone, shot in the dark. Whispering, Robin's voice. He knows where. If the video cuts off, now detectives know Robin survived the first attack. They know Daniel Cross might still be alive, and they know Marcus Trent may have been set up. But here's the most chilling part. The video metadata shows it was recorded 1 day after Marcus Trent was arrested, meaning Robin Kay was still alive, while the world believed she was already dead. So, who killed her? Where was she hiding? And why does the last location ping from her phone point directly to the home of a retired LAPD detective? And not just any detective, the one who signed off on Daniel Cross's original suicide report. His name? Frank Mallory, 62, decorated, respected, but with a reputation for bending the rules. Detectives show up at his door. Frank answers in a pressed polo shirt, calm smile. "Come in, officers," like he's expecting them. In Frank's living room, a framed photo on the wall. Him, Robin Kay, Daniel Cross. It's from 10 years ago. They're laughing at a backyard barbecue. Frank says they were friends of the family, but the current detectives never knew Robin had ties to him. They serve a warrant. Inside Frank's garage, a locked metal storage cabinet. He insists it's old police records. When they pry it open, a black wool sweater, fibers matched the ones found under Robin's fingernails. And under that sweater, a small, blood-stained blanket, the kind you'd wrap around someone to keep them warm. In Frank's office, they find a floor safe. Inside, a burner phone. Call logs show repeated contact with Daniel Cross. After the date, Daniel was dead. Even more chilling, the last call was made the day Robin's final video was recorded. Frank's next-door neighbor says she saw something strange. Late at night, a woman, matching Robin's description, standing in Frank's backyard, barefoot, crying, when the neighbor tried to approach. Frank stepped outside, told her, "Go back inside. Family matter." A forensic team recovers partial prints from the burner phone. They're not Frank's. They're Robin K's, meaning Robin was alive and in Frank's home, at least for a short time. Detectives piece it together. Daniel Cross fakes his death with Frank's help. Years later, he targets Robin and Thomas. But instead of killing Robin immediately, they keep her alive. Why? Leverage, revenge, or something darker. Frank finally cracks under questioning. Says Robin came to him the night Thomas was shot. She was terrified, said Daniel's back. He hid her in his home for her own safety. But then, one night, she was gone. Security footage from Frank Street shows the black SUV picking up Robin at 2:14 a.m. Driver? Unidentified. Plates come back stolen. GPS data from the SUV leads to a warehouse on the edge of the city, a place Daniel once owned. SWAT moves in. Warehouse is empty. But in the center of the floor, a single folding chair, ropes on the ground, and a camera tripod pointing directly at it. They find fresh footprints. One set matches Daniel Cross. The other? A woman's, barefoot. Behind the chair, a wall of photos. Not just Robin, dozens of other women. Some missing, some dead, pinned in the center. A new photo, Robin K., dated 2 days ago. If the photo is real, it means Robin was still alive less than 48 hours ago. And the kicker? A fresh DNA sample from the scene confirms. She was injured. She's bleeding. And Daniel Cross is still moving her from place to place. Detectives now believe they have less than 72 hours to find her. But the only person who knows where she is refusing to talk. Because that person is Marcus Trent, a man they thought was just a witness. Marcus sits in the interview room, hands folded, no expression. He says, "I'll tell you where she is, but you won't like the truth." Detectives lean in. Marcus smirks. "You think Daniel's in control?" He's not. Marcus claims Robin wasn't kidnapped. She went willingly, not with Daniel, but with someone else. Someone inside the current investigation. He slides a photo across the table. It's grainy, taken from a distance. Robin, wearing a hoodie, stepping into a sedan. Driving that sedan led Detective Julia Reyes. The precinct explodes into chaos. Julia swears it's not what it looks like. Says she was protecting Robin. That Robin was being hunted by two people, Daniel and Frank. But when they check her phone, they find encrypted messages to a burner number. That belongs to Daniel Cross. They suspend Julia on the spot, but she refuses to give up Robin's location. Instead, she whispers, "If you move too soon, you'll get her killed." They don't know if it's a warning or a threat. They trace Julia's car GPS. Last ping, a cabin deep in the Angeles cab. Inside, fresh food, 2 mugs still warm, and a bloodstained scarf. That matches Robin's DNA. While searching the cabin, they find a hidden wildlife camera outside. It's motion activated. The last clip shows Robin sitting on the porch, looking scared. Then, a shadow falls over her. She looks up. The figure steps into view. It's not Daniel. It's Marcus Trent. Marcus wasn't just a witness. He's the middleman, the one moving Robin between locations, the one keeping both Daniel and the police guessing. And now, Marcus is gone. His car abandoned 2 miles from the cabin. Tracks leading off into the woods. K9 units follow the trail. It leads to an old service tunnel under the forest. Inside, a camping lantern still glowing. A backpack with Robin's necklace inside. But no Robin. No Marcus. Then, over the radio, an officer yells, "We got a body." Everyone freezes. The body is male. Gunshot wound to the chest. It's Marcus Trent. In his pocket, a burner phone, one unread text, sent an hour before he died. Deliver her to the docks at midnight, or it's over. The clock is down to 10 hours. And now the investigation has shifted to the city's old shipping yards. And the only lead, a cryptic text, deliver her to the docks at midnight, or it's over. It's pouring rain. The shipping yard is a maze of steel containers and echoing shadows. Every creak of metal feels like a gun cocking. Detectives know, if Robin's here, they're walking into a trap. SWAT fans out. Thermal drones scan the area. Nothing. Then, a faint heat signature inside a container near the pier's edge. They cut the lock. Inside, Robin, hood over her head, hand-bound, shivering. But before they can reach her, a spotlight floods the pier. A deep voice booms from the darkness. Step away from her now. A tall figure emerges. Black trench coat, gloved hands, and in one of them, a silenced pistol. He removes his hood. It's Frank Holloway, the retired LAPD detective. Frank says he's been protecting Robin. From Daniel. From Marcus. From everyone. But Robin shakes her head violently. Through the gag, she's screaming something. They remove it. Her first words, "Don't listen to him. He's the one who shot Thomas." Frank laughs. Says Thomas's death was necessary. That Robin was next. Until she agreed to help him clean up the mess. The mess? A blackmail ring inside LAPD, where Thomas was a willing participant. Frank offers a trade, the truth about the murders, for safe passage out of the city. But before anyone can respond, a sniper round cracks through the rain. Frank goes down, shouts over the radio, "Shooter on the crane." Bullets ricochet off containers. Officers dive for cover. Robin screaming. A shadow moves across the crane. When SWAT gets there, the sniper's gone. All that's left, a single shell casing, and a note tucked inside Frank's coat. "Next time I won't miss." Robin is safe. For now. But Daniel Cross is still missing. And the note's handwriting matches the lead detective, Julia Reyes. Which means the most dangerous player in this game is still inside the investigation. Robin K. has been rescued. But the sniper's note found on Frank Holloway's body matches the handwriting of lead detective Julia Reyes. If that's true, the killer isn't outside the investigation. They are the investigation. Robin's in protective custody. Julia herself demands to be the one guarding her. Captain Miller objects, but Julia pulls rank. "She trusts me," Julia says, and Robin reluctantly agrees. But on the drive to the safe house, Robin sees it, a folded link to offshore accounts tied to Marcus Trent. Robin calls Miller from payphone. Breathless. "I have proof," she says. "I saw the note. Julia is coming for me." Miller sets a meeting in an abandoned subway. Some of our cars will be waiting, but we're empty. Just one figure standing in the shadows. Julia. Julia steps forward. Says Miller's dead. Says she's the only one who can keep Robin alive now. Robin asks why she killed Thomas. Julia's answer? "He was going to tell you the truth about who you really are." Julia drops it like a bomb. "Your father is Frank Holloway." Robin freezes. Julia smirks. "And that means you're part of this, whether you like it or not." Julia reaches into her coat. Robin backs toward the tracks. A train is approaching, fast, just as Julia pulls something out. It's not a gun. It's a black envelope. She tosses it to Robin. Inside, photos of Robin from when she was a child, standing next to Frank. In Marcus Trent, Julia whispers, "You've been in this since day one. And now, it's your turn to choose a side." The train roars past. When Robin looks up, Julia is gone. And in the distance, Daniel Cross is watching from the opposite platform. Robin now knows the truth. Her father, Frank Holloway. Her life, intertwined with Marcus Trent and Julia Reyes from the start. But the game isn't over. The killers are still free. And Robin has decided she's not running anymore. It's been 2 days since Julia vanished at the subway. Robin goes straight to the one person who might still be clean. FBI Special Agent Carter. Carter listens, eyes narrowing. He's been quietly investigating LAPD corruption for years. And Julia? She's the last piece of his puzzle. Together, Robin and Carter plan a sting. Robin will agree to meet Julia, pretending she's ready to choose a side. The location? The same Hollywood Hills mansion where it all began. Julia's ego won't be able to resist. Night falls. Robin waits in the dimly lit living room. Wedding photos still hang on the wall, but now they feel like ghosts watching. Julia walks in, flanked by Marcus Trent. She smirks, ready to come home. Robin nods, and then flips the switch. Every window bursts with light. FBI, SWAT, unmarked police. Flooding in, Marcus goes for his gun. Carter takes him down. Julia freezes. Robin steps forward. You killed Thomas because you couldn't control him. You almost killed me because I wasn't yours to keep. Julia tries to speak, but the cuffs click shut. Over the next weeks, the web unravels. Julia had been secretly on Marcus's payroll for years, helping him run a multi-million-dollar real estate scam. Frank Holloway, Robin's father, was once Marcus's partner. When Frank tried to quit, Marcus had him killed and framed it as a gang hit. Thomas discovered the truth, and that sealed his fate. With Julia and Marcus behind bars, Robin finally buries Thomas in a quiet ceremony overlooking the ocean. No cameras, no headlines, just the sound of the waves. She decides not to hide anymore. She returns to work, this time producing her own music charity for at-risk youth. And on the day the verdict comes in, guilty on all counts, Robin walks out of the courthouse into the sunlight. For the first time in months, she can breathe. Her story became one of the most watched true crime cases in the country. But for Robin, it's not about the fame. It's about the fact that Thomas's name will never be forgotten.
On March 14, 2019, Michael Carson left his home in Spokane, Washington to buy groceries. He never came back. His wife Laura called police when he didn't return that night. His car was found abandoned 3 days later at a rest stop 200 miles away. Keys in the ignition, wallet on the dashboard. No signs of foul play. No body. No witnesses. No clues. For 4 years, Laura Carson searched for her husband. Police told her he was probably dead. Friends told her to move on, but Laura refused to give up. She posted flyers. She spent every dollar of their savings searching for answers. And on April 2, 2023, a homeless shelter worker in Portland, Oregon called the Spokane Police Department. They'd found Michael Carson, alive, 4 years after he vanished. But Michael had no memory of where he'd been. His wife, memory of his life, 2019. This is the story of a wife who never stopped searching and a husband who forgot he was missing. If you believe love means never giving up even when everyone else does, subscribe to Faceless Justice right now. We tell the stories of families who refuse to let their loved ones be forgotten. Hit that subscribe button, and let's celebrate the power of persistence together. Michael and Laura Carson had been married for 11 years. High school sweethearts from Spokane. Michael was 38 years old. Laura was 37. Michael worked as an accountant at a local firm. Laura was a nurse at Sacred Heart Medical Center. They had no children but were talking about starting a family. March 14, 2019 was a Thursday. Michael had the day off. Laura worked the morning shift at the hospital. Before Laura left for work at 6:30 a.m., Michael kissed her goodbye and said he'd make dinner that night. Spaghetti, her favorite. At 2:15 p.m., Michael texted Laura, heading to store for groceries. Need anything else? Laura replied, just you. Love you. Michael responded with a heart emoji. That was the last message Laura ever received from her husband. Laura got home at 6 p.m. No Michael. No groceries. No dinner cooking on the stove. She called his phone. Straight to voicemail. At 8 p.m., Laura called Michael's parents. They hadn't heard from him. At 9 p.m., she called his best friend. No contact. At 10 p.m., Laura called the Spokane Police Department to file a missing person report. Detective James Rodriguez took Laura's report that night. He'd worked missing persons for 12 years. Most cases resolved within 48 hours. Michael Carson was 38 years old. No history of mental illness. No financial problems. Happily married. Stable job. Detective Rodriguez organized search parties. Volunteers checked trails, hospitals. Laura posted Michael's photo on every social media platform. On March 17th, 3 days after Michael disappeared, a state trooper found his car. Michael's 2015 Honda Accord was parked at a rest stop on Interstate 90, 200 miles east of Spokane near the Idaho border. The car was unlocked, keys in the ignition, Michael's wallet on the dashboard with $180 cash and all his credit cards. His phone was on the passenger seat. Dead battery. No blood. No signs of struggle. No suicide note. Security cameras at the rest stop showed Michael pulling in at 3:47 p.m. on March 14th. He got out of the car, walked toward the restroom building, and disappeared off camera. He was never seen walking back. Detective Rodriguez reviewed 72 hours of security footage. Michael never returned to his car. He simply vanished. Police searched a 50-mile radius around the rest stop. Search and rescue teams combed forests, rivers, abandoned buildings. Nothing. Detective Rodriguez investigated every possibility. Voluntary disappearance? Michael had no reason to run. No debts. No affairs. No criminal history. Foul play. No evidence of violence. No enemies. No suspicious activity on his bank accounts. Accident? No body found. No reports of unidentified patients at hospitals. Michael's phone record showed his last location ping at the rest stop at 3:52 p.m. Then nothing. His phone went dead. His credit cards were never used. His bank account was never accessed. Laura held press conferences. She offered a $25,000 reward. She appeared on local news stations begging for information. 6 months passed. No leads. 1 year passed. Detective Rodriguez told Laura to stop looking for my husband. Never. If Laura's determination is giving you chills right now, hit that like button and comment below. Would you ever give up searching for someone you love? Because what Laura does next will prove that some people are born fighters. While police moved on to other cases, Laura Carson transformed her life into a single mission: find Michael. She quit her. Laura taught herself to be an investigator. She studied missing persons cases. She learned about dissociative fugue states, amnesia, and unidentified persons databases. She created a systematic search grid covering Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Every homeless shelter, every hospital, every Jane and John Doe report. Laura's process: call 15 homeless shelters per day. Check unidentified persons databases weekly. Post updated flyers in new cities monthly. Monitor social media for any mentions. She drove 73,000 miles. She made 21,900 phone calls. Her friends stopped calling. Her family begged her to accept reality. Everyone told her Michael was gone. But Laura had made a vow on her wedding day: for better or worse, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. And until someone showed her Michael's body, she would never stop searching. Over 4 years, Laura hired 3 different private investigators. Each one took her money and delivered nothing. Investigator number 1, 2019, charged $5,000. Claimed Michael was spotted in Boise, Idaho. The lead was false. Investigator number 2, 2020, charged $8,000. Said Michael might have crossed into Canada. No evidence ever materialized. Investigator number 3, 2021, charged $12,000. Promised to track Michael. He doesn't remember anything before waking up in Portland 3 weeks ago. Laura couldn't speak. For years of searching. For years of hope and heartbreak. Detective Rodriguez continued. Portland police are taking him to the hospital for a full medical evaluation. I'm driving down there tomorrow morning. Do you want to come with me? Laura was in her car within 20 minutes. She drove through the night, 350 miles from Spokane to Portland. She arrived at Providence, Portland. Justice story. Because what happens in this reunion will restore your faith in the power of love. Hit that bell icon right now. Dr. Patricia Williams, the neurologist treating Michael, met Laura in the hallway outside his room. Mrs. Carson, I need you to understand what you're about to see. Your husband is suffering from what we call dissociative fugue with retrograde amnesia. He has no memory of his life before approximately 3 weeks ago. Laura nodded, tears streaming down her face. Does he know I'm here? Dr. Williams shook her head. We told him a woman claiming to be his wife is here. He doesn't remember being married. This is going to be difficult for both of you. Laura took a deep breath and opened the door. Michael Carson sat on the edge of the hospital bed. He'd lost 40 pounds. His hair was longer, grayer. His face was weathered and tired. He looked up when Laura walked in. His eyes showed no recognition. Michael, Laura whispered. The man stared at her blankly. I'm sorry. Do I know you? Laura's hands trembled as she showed him photos. Their wedding day, their honeymoon in Hawaii, Christmas mornings, birthday parties. Michael studied each photo carefully. His face showed confusion, frustration, sadness. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember you. I'm sorry. Laura sat down in the chair beside his bed. For years of hope crashed down around her. She'd found her husband, who she was. Dr. Wickles and Detective Rodriguez. Michael is suffering from dissociative fugue, a rare psychiatric disorder usually triggered by severe trauma or stress. Patients essentially forget their identity and sometimes travel far from home. The MRI showed no physical brain damage, no signs of injury, no tumors or strokes. His memory loss is psychological, not physical. The good news is that in some cases, memories can return spontaneously or through therapy. Through interviews with Portland homeless shelter workers and street outreach teams, they pieced together fragments of Michael's 4 missing years. March 2019. Michael was found wandering in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with no ID. He told shelter workers his name was John. He couldn't remember anything else. 2019 to 2022. He drifted between homeless shelters in Idaho, Montana, and Washington. He did odd jobs for cash. He never stayed anywhere long. March 2023. He arrived at the Cascade Shelter in Portland. A worker named Sarah Chun saw Laura's Facebook post and recognized him. Laura asked the question that had haunted her for 4 years. Why didn't he try to find me? Why didn't he go to police? Dr. Williams explained. In dissociative fugue, patients don't realize they're missing. Michael didn't know he had a wife to return to. He didn't know he had a life in Spokane. His mind had completely blocked out his previous identity as a protective mechanism. Laura sobbed. What do we do now? Michael was released, spent $67,000 of their savings. She never gave up. When police told her to move on, she refused. When friends said he was dead, she kept searching. When 3 private investigators failed, she kept going. Laura Carson's message to other families of missing persons. Never stop looking. Family. This is Faceless Justice, telling the stories of those who refuse to let their loved ones be forgotten. Michael and Laura Carson's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest act of love is simply refusing to give up. Even when the person you're searching for doesn't remember you're searching for them.
Can a single piece of evidence, buried for decades, solve a crime everyone else has given up on? What if the truth was never lost, just waiting for the right moment to be discovered? Tonight, we're reopening cases that were once forgotten, cases that haunted families, frustrated detectives, and left behind more questions than answers. But now, something has changed. And if you're drawn to mysteries like this, stories where justice refuses to stay buried, make sure you subscribe to Faceless Justice right now. Because the deeper we go, the darker it gets. Hit subscribe. Because some truths don't stay hidden forever. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why. Because one of these cases was never truly cold. Welcome to Faceless Justice, where the silence of forgotten cases is finally broken. Cold cases are different. They don't scream for attention anymore. They sit quietly, collecting dust, while time erases witnesses, memories, and sometimes hope. Detectives retire. Families grieve in silence. And the truth? It fades. Or at least, that's what everyone believes. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't disappear. Sometimes, it waits. Hidden in a fingerprint, a name buried in a database that didn't exist. Until now. And tonight, we're diving into cases that prove one thing. Justice may be delayed, gone. But here's the question. What if solving these cases reveals something far more disturbing? Something investigators weren't supposed to find? Because in one of these cases, the evidence didn't just identify the killer. It exposed something much bigger. California. For years, fear had a name, but no face. A shadow moved through neighborhoods at night, breaking in, watching, waiting, and then striking. The media called him many things, but history would remember him as one of the most terrifying criminals in American history. The case stretched across decades. Victims multiplied, but leads, they vanished. Detectives chased ghosts. Witnesses forgot details. And slowly, the case went cold. Until, decades later, a single decision changed everything. Investigators turned to something new. Something controversial. A genealogy database. Not designed to catch killers, but to connect families. What they found was unexpected. A distant relative. A name. A thread. And when they pulled it, everything unraveled. But here's the part no one talks about. What if they were already watching him? Before the DNA confirmed it, the DNA didn't lie. It led them straight to a man who had lived an ordinary life. Former police officer. A neighbor. A man no one suspected. Until it was too late. His name? Joseph James D'Angelo. The arrest shocked the world. But behind the headlines was a chilling reality. He had lived among them for decades. Free. Untouched. Unnoticed. And the question that haunted everyone was this: how many others are still out there, just like him? A young girl is found. Alone. Abandoned. Her identity? Unknown. Her story? Silenced. They called her the Buckskin Girl. Not a name. Just a description of what she wore. Years passed. Then decades. No family came forward. No records matched. It was as if she never existed. Until technology caught up with the past. DNA testing improved. Databases expanded. And suddenly, she wasn't invisible anymore. A match appeared. Then another. And finally, a name. But just as investigators thought they were close to the truth, they uncovered something unexpected. Someone had been searching for her this entire time. She had a family, a history, a life that had been erased. But the biggest question remained: who did this to her? The DNA trail continued, leading investigators down a path they hadn't anticipated. A suspect emerged, but the timeline didn't add up. Something was off. Something didn't make sense. And then, a second piece of evidence surfaced. One that had been overlooked, and it changed it. Detroit young woman. A quiet night. And then, violent. Case seemed straightforward at first. Until it wasn't. Leads dried up. Witnesses the file was closed. But not forgotten. Years later, a detective reopened it. Not because of new witnesses. Not because of a confession. But because of a single piece of preserved DNA. Something no one had the tools to analyze before. But now, everything was different. The sample was tested again. And this time, it spoke. The DNA didn't just identify a suspect. It revealed a pattern. A connection. Cases that seemed unrelated suddenly weren't. Different cities. Different victims. But the same method. The same signature. Investigators realized something chilling. They weren't dealing with isolated crimes. They were uncovering a hidden timeline. One that stretched further than anyone expected. And then came the realization that changed everything. What if these cases were never truly separate? The deeper they dug, the darker it became. Old evidence was re-examined. Files reopened. Names rechecked. And then, a match appeared that shouldn't have been possible. A connection between two suspects who had never been linked before. Until now. And when investigators followed that connection, they uncovered something terrifying. A network. Not organized. Not obvious. But real. And hidden in plain sight. And one name kept appearing. Over and over again. Before we reveal what investigators found, take a second to subscribe to Faceless Justice. Because stories like this don't end where you expect them to. And the final truth? It's something most people never hear. The name didn't belong to a killer. Not exactly. It belonged to someone who had been overlooked, ignored, dismissed. Someone who had been close to multiple cases, without ever being suspected. And when investigators finally realized who it was, everything changed. Because the truth wasn't just about solving cold cases anymore. It was about understanding how many had been missed, how many were still hidden, and whether justice had only just begun. Because some cases are only cold until someone looks in the right place. And this time, they did. But what they found wasn't just another suspect. It was a pattern. A pattern that had been hiding in plain sight for years. Buried across different cities. Different victims. Different timelines. At first, it didn't make sense. The cases were too far apart. Too unrelated. Too random. But one analyst, just one, decided to look at something others ignored. Not the crimes. Not the suspects. But the gaps. The spaces in between. And that's when it started to come together. Dates. Locations. Movements. A silent rhythm that no one had noticed before. And once they saw it, they couldn't unsee it. Every crime happened within a specific window. Not days. Not weeks. Years. Gaps of 6. Sometimes 8. Sometimes 10 years. As if someone was waiting. Not hiding. Not running. Waiting. Living a normal life in between. Blending in. Aging. Changing. And then, striking again. But here's what made it worse. The locations weren't random either. They formed a path. A slow, deliberate movement across the country. Almost like someone was relocating. Starting over. Again and again. And then one investigator asked the question that changed everything. What if this wasn't just one killer, but someone teaching others? The idea sounded impossible. Too complex. Too organized. But the evidence didn't lie. Subtle differences in each crime. Slight variations. As if each act was a copy. Not identical. But learned. Refined. Passed down. And then, a file surfaced. Old. Misplaced. Almost forgotten. Inside it was a name investigators had seen before. Not once. Not twice. But in 3 separate cases. Always on the edge. Never directly involved. A witness. A neighbor. A passerby. But never a suspect. Until now. Because this time, the timeline placed him at the center. They pulled his records. Nothing unusual. No criminal history. No red flags. Just an ordinary man. A quiet, steady job. A person no. But when they mapped his movements, everything changed. He had lived near every crime scene. Not all at once. But over time. Moving. Reappearing. Vanishing. And then showing up again. Years later. Closer to the next victim. It couldn't be coincidence. It was too precise. Too consistent. And then, they found something in his past. Something small. But impossible to ignore. A connection to law enforcement. That no one had reported. Not as an officer. Not officially. But close enough. He had worked around investigations. Seen how cases were built. How evidence was handled. How mistakes were made. And more importantly, how to avoid them. It explained everything. The gaps. The patience. The precision. But there was still one problem. There was no direct proof. No DNA match. No confession. Just a pattern. A theory. And a growing sense that they were getting close. Too close. Because the moment they began surveillance, something strange happened. He changed his routine. Not drastically. Not enough to alarm anyone else. But enough for them to notice. Different routes. Different times. Long pauses. Moments where he just sat. Watching. Waiting. As if he knew. As if he felt it. And then one night, he drove somewhere he had never gone before. A remote location. No cameras. No witnesses. Just darkness. Investigators followed. Carefully. Quietly. But when they reached the spot, he was gone. No car. No trace. Nothing. Except one thing. Buried in the dirt. Recently disturbed. And what they found there shouldn't have existed. A box. Old. Weathered. Hidden. But preserved. Inside, evidence, case. Items that had never been released. Details only the killer would know. But that wasn't the worst part. At the bottom of the box was something far more disturbing. Names. Dates. Locations. Future locations. Potential victims. And the next date was only days away. Panic spread through the team. This wasn't about the past anymore. This was about stopping something. Again. They moved fast. Tracking him. Move or mistake. One. Not yet. Because he had done this before. Too many times. And then, he disappeared again. This time. For longer. No phone activity. No transactions. No movement. Nothing. As if he had vanished completely. And then the realization hit them. He wasn't running, he was preparing. Before we uncover what happened next, make sure you're subscribed to Faceless Justice, because stories like this don't just reveal the past, they expose what's still out there. And what happens next, you won't see coming. The date on the list approached. Every second mattered. Investigators revisited every location tied to him. Every pattern. Every possibility. And then, they saw it. A place that fit perfectly. Isolated. Predictable. Vulnerable. They moved in. Silently. Carefully. And when they arrived, they weren't too late. But they weren't early either. Because he was already there. Waiting. He didn't run. He didn't panic. He just stood there. Calm. Still. As if this moment was always part of the plan. And when they finally closed in, he smiled. Not out of fear. Not out of relief. But like someone who had been expecting them all along. And the last thing he said before they took him in changed everything investigators thought they knew. He said, "You only found me because I wanted you to." The words didn't sound like a threat. They were either deliberate. This moment, the investigation is just enough. Much big officers. Normal. Criminals run. They deny. They panic. But he waited. And now, he was smiling. As if the story wasn't ending, but just beginning. And that's when one detective noticed something chilling. His hands. They weren't shaking. They weren't restrained in panic. They were relaxed. Too relaxed. Almost like he had already accepted the outcome. Or worse, expected it. But then, he leaned forward slightly. And whispered something only one detective could hear. Check the timeline again. That was it. No explanation. No context. Just that. And for some reason, it unsettled them more than anything else. Because when they did, they realized something impossible. The dates didn't align. Not completely. There were gaps. But not the kind they expected. Some crimes overlapped. Slightly. By hours. Sometimes. By minutes. Which meant one person couldn't have committed all of them. But the evidence said otherwise. DNA. Patterns. Locations. All pointed back to him. And yet, the timeline said no. Which left investigators with only two possibilities. Either the evidence was wrong. Or, he wasn't working alone. They brought him in. Sat him down. Started asking questions. Simple at first. Then more direct. But every answer he gave felt rehearsed. Controlled. Like he was feeding them just enough to keep them moving, but never enough to understand the full picture. And then, they asked the question. Were you alone? For the first time, he paused. Not long. Just a second. But it was enough. Because when he looked up again, the smile was gone. And he said, I was the first. Silence filled the room. The first. What? The first killer? The first suspect? The first piece of something bigger? They pushed harder. But he leaned back. Calm again. And then he said something that changed everything. You think you solved cold cases. You just opened them. Investigators scrambled. Rechecking files. Reopening evidence. Looking for anything they might have missed. And that's when it surfaced, another case. Similar pattern. Similar method. But different location. Different time. And most importantly, different DNA. But the structure of the crime was identical. Too identical. Like someone had copied it. Perfectly. And then it hit them. What if this wasn't imitation, but instruction? The list from the box wasn't random. It wasn't just victims. It was training. A progression. Early attempts. Refined methods. Improved execution. As if someone had been learning. Watching. Adapting. And then passing it on. Case by case. Person by person. Not a gang. Not an organization. Something quieter. More dangerous. A legacy. And the man in custody? He wasn't just a killer. He was the beginning. They monitored communications. Checked online forums. Old records. Anything that could connect the dots. And then, they found it. A hidden thread. Buried deep in an obscure forum. No names. No identities. Just patterns. Dates. Coordinates. And messages. Short. Cryptic. But clear enough. Phase complete. Next ready. Watcher active. And the most recent message, posted just hours ago, said, "The teacher has been taken." The room went silent. They weren't stopping anything. They had triggered something. Something already in motion. Because if he was the teacher, then the others were already out there. Active. Watching. Waiting. And possibly continuing the pattern. Before we uncover what this network really is, make sure you're subscribed to Faceless Justice. Because what you're about to hear goes far beyond a single case. They trace the messages. Encrypted. Layered. But not perfect. Nothing ever is. Bit by bit. They pulled fragments. Locations. Signals. Movement patterns. And then, they found a match. Another suspect. Another city. Another timeline. Already aligning. Already repeating. And this time, they weren't years too late. They were just in time. As units moved in, something unexpected happened. The suspect didn't resist. Didn't run. Didn't fight. Just like the first. And as they placed him in custody, he looked at one of the officers and said something that froze everyone in place. "You think this ends with us?" He shook his head slowly. Smiled. And whispered, "We're just the ones you found. We're just the ones you found." The words echoed long after he said them. Not defensive. Not threatening. Just factual. And that was the problem. Because if what he said was true, then this wasn't an investigation anymore. It was a hunt. For something no one fully understood. Possibly already. But one question mattered more than anything else. How many were there? They separated both suspects. Different rooms. Different teams. Same questions. But their answers? Too similar. Not identical, but aligned. Like two people reading from the same script. Without ever seeing each other. And then one of them said something unexpected. "You're asking the wrong question." The detective leaned forward. "Then what should we be asking?" He smiled slightly. And replied, "Not who we are, but who taught us." The room went cold. Because that meant one thing. There was someone before the first. Someone unseen. Untracked. Uncaught. The real origin. Every file was reopened again. But this time, they weren't looking forward. They were looking backward. Further than ever before. Before the first known case. Before the earliest record. Before the pattern even began. And then, they found it. A case so old. It had almost been erased. No digital records. Just paper. Faded ink. Half missing files. But the details were there. Barely. A victim. Same method. Same precision. Same silence. But the date was decades earlier than anything they had. Which meant the pattern didn't start recently. It had been alive. for generations. And in the most disturbing part, the case was marked unsolved, but someone had signed it closed. The signature didn't belong to a detective. Not officially. No badge number. No department record. Just a name. One that didn't exist anywhere else in the system. It was as if someone had stepped in, closed the case, and disappeared. But why? And how? They traced the name. Nothing. No identity. No history. Until a fragment appeared. Archived personnel list. Not law enforcement. Something adjacent. Something quieter. Something that worked behind the scenes. And that's when they realized this wasn't being ignored. It was being hidden. Dangerous. Too dangerous. Because if someone had been covered, then someone knew. And if someone knew, they might still be watching. That thought settled in. The system flagged something. Authorized access to their files. Live. Someone else was looking at the same cases. At the same time. From somewhere. Inside. Panic spread quietly. No alarms. No announcements. Just controlled urgency. They traced the access point. Internal network. Restricted clearance. Not a hacker. Not an outsider. Someone with permission. Someone close. Too close. And then, one of the detectives froze. Because the access trail led to a name. They all recognized. Someone in the building. Someone they trusted. Someone who had been on the case from the beginning. They moved fast. But not fast enough. The office was empty. Computer still on. Files open. Chair slightly turned. Like they had just left. But on the screen was a message. Simple. Chilling. Left for them to find. It read, "You were never supposed to see this. Before we uncover who was behind it all, make sure you're subscribed to Faceless Justice. Because this isn't just a story about crime anymore, it's about something much bigger." The pieces came together fast. Too fast. Every suspect. Every pattern. Every case. They weren't random. They were controlled. Observed. Studied. As if someone had been watching the killers. Just as closely as investigators had. And then, the final file was unlocked. Restricted. Hidden. But now visible. Inside it was the truth. Not about the killers. But about the system behind them. A program. Unacknowledged but very real. Monitoring violent behavior. Tracking patterns. Letting them unfold. Just enough. To study them. And sometimes, not stopping them. The man they arrested? Not just a killer. Not just a teacher. Watch meant it. For years. And when he said, "You only found me because I wanted you to," he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about them. The watchers. The ones behind the system. The ones who decided when a case stayed cold and when it didn't. The last page of the file contained a single line, "No intervention required." Below it, a list of active cases. Unsolved. Ongoing. Unstopped. And at the very bottom, a new entry. No suspect. Just a status. Developing. And as investigators stared at the screen, one question remained: were they solving crimes? Or just discovering them? Exactly when they were allowed to?
On October 14, 1993, Catherine Morrison kissed her two daughters goodbye, walked out of her suburban Denver home to buy groceries, and vanished without a trace. For 31 years, her family searched. For 31 years, police had no leads. For 31 years, everyone assumed the worst. But when investigators finally discovered where Catherine had been all this time, the truth was so disturbing, so unthinkable, that it would shake an entire community to its core. Before we dive into this haunting case, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every subscription helps us bring justice to the voiceless and shine light on cases that desperately need attention. Your support could help solve the next cold case. Catherine Morrison was 34 years old, a devoted mother, a beloved elementary school teacher, and by all accounts, living a quiet, happy life in Lakewood, Colorado. Her daughters, Emma and Sarah, were 8 and 11 years old that October morning. Her husband, David Morrison, told police Catherine left around 10:30 a.m. for the grocery store. She never arrived. Her 1989 Honda Accord was found 3 days later in a King Soopers parking lot. Keys still in the ignition, her purse on the passenger seat, with $47 in cash untouched. There were no signs of struggle, no witnesses, no surveillance footage. This was 1993, before cameras were everywhere. Detective James Holloway, the lead investigator, said something felt wrong from day one. The scene was too clean, he later recalled. When someone vanishes this completely, it's rarely random. David Morrison appeared on local news, pleading for Catherine's return. He organized search parties. He cooperated fully with police. He passed a polygraph test. The case went cold within 6 months. This case sat untouched for 3 decades, but new technology would eventually crack it wide open. Stay with me. The twist in this story is something you won't see coming. And if you're finding this case as compelling as I am, tap that like button. It tells YouTube to share this story with more people who care about justice. Emma and Sarah Morrison grew up without their mother. They celebrated birthdays, graduated high school, got married, all while wondering if Catherine was alive somewhere, thinking about them. David remarried in 1998 to a woman named Linda Hartwell. The family moved to Boulder. Life, as much as it could, moved forward. But Emma, the younger daughter, never stopped searching. As an adult, she became obsessed with her mother's case. She created a Facebook page in 2015 called Find Catherine Morrison that attracted thousands of followers. She hired private investigators with her own money. She submitted Catherine's DNA to every database available. I had this feeling, this knowing, that my mom didn't just disappear, Emma told a local reporter in 2019. Someone knew something. Someone was hiding something. Her sister Sarah was more pragmatic, more resigned. Emma, we have to let her go, she'd say. It's been 25 years. She's gone. But Emma couldn't let go. In 2022, she made a decision that would change everything. She convinced her father to let her search through old family storage boxes in his attic. Boxes that hadn't been opened since 1993. What she found in those boxes would lead to the most shocking discovery in Colorado cold case history. The evidence Emma discovered was so disturbing that when she brought it to police, they reopened the case immediately. Before I reveal what she found, make sure you're subscribed. We're covering cases like this every week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Inside a dusty cardboard box labeled Catherine's Teaching Supplies, Emma found her mother's personal journal, one the police had somehow missed in their original investigation. The entries from September and early October 1993 were chilling. September 3rd, 1993, David's been acting strange lately. Secretive phone call home late. Questions. He angrier than I've ever seen him. September 18th, 1993. I found receipts for a storage unit I didn't know we had. When I asked David about it, he said it was for his business equipment. But David doesn't have a business. What is he hiding? October 8th, 1993, 6 days before Catherine disappeared. I followed David to the storage unit today. Unit 247 at Secure Space on Wadsworth Boulevard. I didn't go in. I'm scared. I think he's having an affair. Or worse. I don't know what to do. I can't tell anyone yet. Not until I know for sure. October 13th, 1993, the day before she vanished. Tomorrow, I'm going to confront him. I'm going to demand to see what's in that storage unit. The girls deserve a father who tells the truth. I deserve a husband I can trust. That was the last entry. Emma immediately called Detective Maria Gonzalez, who had taken over the cold case unit. Within 48 hours, they had a warrant. What police found in that storage unit, still rented under David Morrison's name after 31 years, would answer every question about Catherine's disappearance. But the answer was more horrific than anyone imagined. Stay with me. And if this case is gripping you like it gripped me, drop a comment below. What do you think they found? On March 15th, 2024, police executed the warrant on Storage Unit 247 at Secure Space on Wadsworth Boulevard. David Morrison, now 67 years old, was brought in for questioning. He insisted he'd forgotten about the unit, that it probably just had old furniture. When investigators opened the unit, they found it meticulously organized. Boxes labeled by year, furniture covered in plastic, and in the back corner, behind a false wall constructed from plywood, they found Catherine Morrison. She wasn't dead. She was alive. Catherine Morrison had been living in that 10 by 15 storage unit for 31 years. The unit had been modified with soundproofing, a ventilation system, a chemical toilet, and a small refrigerator. There was a cot, boxes of non-perishable food, and jugs of water. The door had been fitted with a lock that could only be opened from the outside. Catherine, now 65 years old, was emaciated, confused, and suffering from severe psychological. She barely spoke. She didn't recognize her own daughters. Medical exams revealed she had been sedated regularly, likely with benzodiazepines, to keep her docile. David had been visiting the unit 2 to 3 times per week for over 3 decades. Food, water, and this case shocked the nation when it broke in 2020. Psychological manipulation, the decades of captivity, the fact that David Morrison had remarried and lived a normal life while keeping his first wife imprisoned. It's almost impossible to comprehend. If you want to see more cases where justice finally prevails, subscribe and turn on all notifications. David Morrison was arrested and charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and attempted murder. His second wife, Linda, claimed she had no knowledge of Catherine's captivity, though prosecutors suspected otherwise. During the trial, the full horror emerged. Catherine had confronted David on October 14, 1993, demanding to know what was in the storage unit. David, who had been using the unit to hide evidence of embezzlement from his employer, panicked. He couldn't let Catherine expose him. He drugged her coffee that morning, drove her to the storage unit, and locked her inside, intending to kill her later and dispose of the body. But he couldn't do it. Instead, he kept her alive, visiting regularly, convincing himself he was protecting her, that she was safer there than in the world. Over the years, his delusion deepened. He believed he was caring for her, that he loved her. The psychological term is captivity bonding, taken to its most extreme form. Emma Morrison testified at the trial, reading from her mother's journal. "My mother wrote that she deserved a husband she could trust," Emma said through tears. Instead, she got 31 years in a concrete box. In September 2024, David Morrison was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Catherine Morrison is now in a specialized care facility, receiving treatment for complex PTSD and the physical effects of 3 decades of captivity. Doctors say she may never fully recover, but she's slowly beginning to recognize her daughters. Emma visits every day. Catherine Morrison's case reminds us that cold cases are never truly cold. They're just waiting for someone who refuses to give up. Emma's determination to find the truth saved her mother's life, even if it came 31 years too late. If this story moved you, please share it. Someone watching might have information about another missing person case. Your share could bring another family closure. The Morrison case is now studied in criminal psychology programs across the country. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most dangerous person is the one sleeping next to you. Catherine Morrison spent 11,323 days in captivity. That's 271,752 hours. Over 16 million minutes of stolen life. But she survived. And because Emma never stopped searching, Catherine is finally free. This is faceless justice, giving voice to the voiceless and light to the darkest corners of true crime. Subscribe for a new case every week. Hit the bell icon. And remember, may be delayed, denied when someone refuses to stop fighting for the truth.
She vanished from her front yard while her mother watched from the kitchen window. For 11 years, her family searched, posted flyers, begged for answers. Then one day, she walked into a police station, alive, but with a story that would expose one of the biggest failures in law enforcement history, because police had the kidnapper's DNA. The entire time, to test it. This is the story of Jennifer Kessler. And if this kind of injustice makes your blood boil, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to expose every single failure that kept Jennifer captive for 11 years. Let's get into it. July 14, 1998, Riverside, California. 8-year-old Jennifer Kessler is playing in her front yard. It's 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Her mother, Carol Kessler, is inside making dinner. She can see Jennifer through the kitchen window, playing with sidewalk chalk. Carol looks down to chop vegetables. 30 seconds. That's all it takes. When she looks up again, Jennifer is gone. Carol runs outside screaming her daughter's name. The neighbors hear nothing, see nothing. Jennifer has simply vanished. Within 20 minutes, Riverside police arrive. They search the neighborhood, question everyone on the block. One neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, mentions seeing a dark blue van parked at the end of the street around 3:30 p.m. She didn't think much of it at the time. Another neighbor, a teenage boy, remembers seeing the van too. Says it had out-of-state plates. Maybe Arizona, maybe New Mexico. He's not sure. Police issue an Amber Alert. Jennifer's face is on every news station in Southern California. The FBI gets involved. They set up a command center in the Kesslers' living room. And then, they find something. On the sidewalk right where Jennifer was playing, investigators discover a cigarette butt. Freshly discarded. Still damp. Carol doesn't smoke. Neither do any of the neighbors who were home that day. The FBI collects it, sends it to the lab for DNA analysis. This cigarette butt contains the kidnapper's DNA, the key to finding Jennifer. And then, it sits in an evidence locker. For months, then years. Untested. Before we continue, I need to know something. Do you think police departments should face criminal charges when evidence like this goes untested for years? Drop a red circle in the comments for yes, or a blue circle for a no. I'm reading every single response. And if you're as frustrated as I am right now, smash that like button. Let's get Jennifer's story to 10,000 views. She deserves that. Now, let's talk about what happened to Jennifer during those 11 years. Jennifer wakes up in the back of a van. Her hands are tied, tape over her mouth. The man driving doesn't speak to her, doesn't look at her, just drives. For hours. They arrive at a property in rural Arizona, an old farmhouse, miles from the nearest neighbor. This is where Jennifer will spend the next 11 years of her life. The man's name is Robert Dale Hutchinson, 43 years old, unemployed, living off a small inheritance. He has no criminal record, no history of violence, nothing that would have flagged him to authorities. But he's been planning this for months. Jennifer isn't his first choice. She's his fourth attempt. The other 3 times parents were too close. Neighbors were watching. Timing wasn't right. But on July 14, 1998, everything aligned perfectly. Inside the farmhouse, Hutchinson has prepared a room. Reinforced door. Locks on the outside. A mattress on the floor. He tells Jennifer the rules. If she screams, she doesn't eat. If she tries to escape, she'll be punished. If she cooperates, she'll be treated fairly. Jennifer is 8 years old. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. Meanwhile, back in Riverside, Carol Kessler never stops searching. She appears on every talk show that will have her. Distributes 50,000 flyers. Hires private investigators with money she doesn't have. The FBI tells her the statistics. After 48 hours, the chances of finding a missing child alive drop to almost 0. After 1 year, it's nearly impossible. Carol doesn't care about statistics. She organizes search parties every weekend, checks every tip, follows every lead. But nothing brings Jennifer home, because the one piece of evidence that could solve everything is still sitting in that evidence locker, untested. I want you to think about something. While you're watching this video, there are families right now searching for missing loved ones. And somewhere in an evidence locker, there might be DNA home. Share it in front of more people, because awareness creates change. And drop a comment telling me, should there be a time limit on how long evidence can sit untested? Let's have that conversation. Now, let's talk about how she escaped. July 2009. Jennifer is 19 years old. She's been captive for 11 years. Hutchinson has become complacent, routine, predictable. Every Tuesday, he drives into town for supplies. He's gone for exactly 3 hours. He locks Jennifer in her room. But after 11 years, the lock is old, worn, weak. Jennifer has been testing it for months. Quietly, patiently. On July 21, 2009, the lock finally gives. Jennifer steps into the hallway for the first time in 11 years. She finds a phone, landline, covered in dust. She picks it up. Dial tone, She calls 911. Dispatcher. 911, what's your emergency? Jennifer. My name is Jennifer Kessler. I was kidnapped 11 years ago. I need help. There's a long pause. Dispatcher. Jennifer Kessler? From Riverside. Jennifer. Yes, please. He'll be back soon. Within 15 minutes, Arizona State Police surround the farmhouse. They find Jennifer sitting on the front porch, waiting. She's malnourished, pale, but alive. Hutchinson returns 20 minutes later, drives right into the police blockade. He doesn't resist, doesn't say a word, just stares straight ahead as they read him his rights. Jennifer is rushed to the hospital. Doctors examine her, run tests. She's physically weak but mentally strong. The first person she asks for is her mother. Back in Riverside, California, Detective Maria Torres gets the call. She's been on Jennifer's case since day one. 11 years. She never closed the file. Detective Torres calls Carol Kessler. Torres. Carol, you need to sit down. We found Jennifer. She's alive. Carol collapses. 11 years of grief, hope, and endless searching. And her daughter is alive. Within hours, Carol is on a plane to Arizona. She bursts into Jennifer's hospital room. They hold each other for 20 minutes without saying a word. This reunion. This is what justice looks like. But here's what makes this story even more infuriating. Remember that cigarette butt? The DNA evidence from 1998? Let me tell you what happened with that. But first, if this story is hitting you hard, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because we're about to expose the biggest failure in this entire case. You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. After Jennifer's rescue, the FBI immediately processes Hutchinson's DNA. They run it through CODIS, the National DNA Database. And then, they check it against old evidence from Jennifer's case. That cigarette butt from 1998. The one collected at the scene. They finally test it. Perfect match. Robert Dale Hutchinson's DNA was sitting in an evidence locker for 11 years. If they had tested it in 1998, Jennifer would have been home in weeks, maybe days. She would have finished elementary school, gone to middle school, high school, had a normal childhood. Instead, she spent 11 years in captivity. Because of a backlog, the Riverside Police Department had over 3,000 pieces of DNA evidence waiting to be processed. Jennifer's case wasn't prioritized. It was just one of thousands. When this information goes public, the outrage is immediate. Carol Kessler files a lawsuit against the Riverside Police Department. She's not asking for money. She's demanding policy change. Carol, my daughter lost 11 years of her life because someone decided her case wasn't important enough. How many other families are waiting for evidence to be tested? How many other children could come home if we just did our jobs? The lawsuit forces an internal investigation. What they find is even worse. Jennifer's case wasn't an isolated incident. There were 47 other missing persons cases with untested DNA evidence. 47 families waiting for answers. 47 pieces of evidence that could solve cases. Just sitting there. The police chief resigns. 3 lab supervisors are fired. But no one faces criminal charges. Because administrative failure isn't a crime. Even when it costs someone 11 years of their life. This is the part that should make you furious. Administrative failure. That's what they called it. Not negligence. Not misconduct. Just failure. Drop a comment right now. Should police face criminal victims in danger? I want to know what you think. And if you think this story needs to reach more people, hit that like button. Let's get Jennifer's story to 100,000 views. Now, let me tell you what happened to Jennifer after all this. Robert Dale Hutchinson's trial begins in March 2010. He's charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and 47 counts of sexual assault. His defense attorney tries to argue diminished capacity, mental illness, childhood trauma. The jury doesn't buy it. Jennifer testifies for 3 days. She describes every detail, every day of those 11 years, every moment of fear. The courtroom is silent except for her voice. When she finishes, the judge calls a recess. Several jury members are openly weeping. The verdict comes back in 4 hours. Guilty. On all counts. Hutchinson is sentenced to 11 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. 1 life sentence for every year he stole from Jennifer. But the story doesn't end there. Jennifer's case becomes a catalyst for change. California passes Jennifer's Law in 2011. It mandates that all DNA evidence in missing persons cases must be tested within 30 days of collection. Police departments that fail to meet this deadline face federal funding cuts. Within 2 years, 12 other states adopt similar legislation. The DNA backlog that kept Jennifer captive for 11 years? It's reduced by 67% nationwide. 43 cold cases are solved using previously untested evidence. 12 missing persons are located and rescued, all because Jennifer Kessler refused to let her suffering be meaningless. Today, Jennifer is 35 years old. She runs a nonprofit called the Kessler Foundation that provides legal support to families of missing persons. She's helped over 200 families navigate the legal system and push for evidence testing. She's married, has 2 children, lives a normal life, but she'll never forget those 11 years. And she'll never stop fighting to make sure no other child loses what she lost. Jennifer voice clip: I can't get those years back, but I can make sure that the system that failed me doesn't fail anyone else. That's my mission. That's my purpose. Jennifer Kessler's story is one of survival, resilience, and justice. But it's also a story of failure, system failure, and the devastating consequences when evidence sits untested. If this story moved you, subscribe to Faceless Justice. We tell the stories that need to be heard, the cases that demand justice, the voices that refuse to be silenced. Hit that like button, share this video, get Jennifer's story in front of 100,000 people, and tell me in the comments, what case should we cover next? I read every single one. If you want more stories like this, check out our playlist on missing persons cases. You won't believe what you're about to discover. I'm Faceless Justice, and I'll see you in the next case. Every year, thousands of people vanish. Some leave behind clues, a dropped phone, an abandoned car, a final text that ends mid-sentence. Others, they disappear into thin air, as if the earth itself swallowed them whole. Their families wait for answers. The police close files, but the questions never stop echoing. Where did they go? And who is responsible? Let's begin with one of the most chilling disappearances in American history. June 7, 1992, Springfield, Missouri. 2 friends, Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall, spent the night celebrating their high school graduation. They returned to Susie's home, where her mother, Cheryl Levitt, was waiting. By morning, the house was silent. The front porch light was broken. Their purses, cars, and cigarettes remained untouched inside. But the 3 women? Gone. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. Just nothing. Police found only one unsettling detail. The answering machine had a strange message, later accidentally erased. Investigators never revealed what it said. For over 30 years, rumors have swirled. Were they kidnapped? Buried beneath a hospital parking garage? Or silenced by someone they knew? To this day, not a single trace of the Springfield 3 has been found. Now picture this. You're on a lonely stretch of highway in Alaska. The sun barely dips below the horizon in summer. The road feels endless. And yet, it's earned a terrifying nickname, the Alaska Triangle. Since 1972, over 16,000 people have vanished inside this vast wilderness. Planes have disappeared without a trace. Hikers step into the forest and never return. Legends whisper spirits, abductions, even secret government experiments. Whatever the truth, families are left with only haunting questions. How can so many vanish, yet so little be found? But these aren't just distant mysteries. Imagine a mother tucking her child into bed, and by morning the room is empty. Before I continue with even darker and stranger disappearances, if you're captivated by these mysteries and want justice for the voiceless, hit that subscribe button to Faceless Justice. Together, we shine a light on the shadows, one cold case at a time. Now let's step into the case that still keeps detectives awake at night. April 1st, 2006. Brian, a medical student in Ohio, went out drinking with friends to celebrate spring break. Security cameras show him entering a bar. Hours later, the cameras captured everyone leaving, but not Brian. He was never seen walking out. No back exit. No trace. His phone pinged for months after. Was it a glitch, or did someone keep it alive? How does a man vanish inside a building under surveillance? Some believe Brian staged his own disappearance. Others whisper about a hidden passage, or foul play by someone close. His family clings to hope, but every year that passes adds more weight to the mystery. And Brian isn't the only one swallowed by the night. Amy Lynn Bradley, 1998. She was on a cruise ship in the Caribbean with her family. Early in the morning, she vanished from her cabin balcony. Passengers later claimed to see her in bars on the ship, even after she was reported missing. Months later, alleged sightings placed her in brothels in the Caribbean, some say as a victim of human trafficking. Her family received an email years later. A photograph of a woman resembling Amy, dressed suggestively, with haunted eyes. But to this day, Amy has never come home. Or consider the Yuba County Five. 1978, California. 5 men, friends with mild intellectual disabilities, went missing after a basketball game. Their car was later found abandoned in the mountains, far from their homes. Inside the forest, investigators discovered one of the men's bodies, emaciated, frozen. In a nearby trailer, stocked with food and supplies, 3 others were found dead from starvation, never touching the rations. The 5th man was never found. Why did they drive into the mountains? Why didn't they eat the food that could have saved them? And who or what terrified them into silence? Sometimes it's not the dead who haunt us, it's the missing. Each cold case shares one thing: absence. No body, no answers, just absence. Like Maura Murray, a nursing student in Massachusetts, 2004. She emailed professors about a family emergency. There was none. She packed her car, drove into the mountains of New Hampshire, and crashed. Witnesses saw her standing next to her car, shaken but alive. When police arrived minutes later, she was gone. The snow showed no footprints leading away. Her car sat unlocked, airbags deployed. To this day, no trace of Maura has surfaced. Did she run away? Was she abducted? Did the mountains themselves claim her? And then there's the Christmas Eve, 1945. A fire destroyed the Sauter family home in West Virginia. 5 of the 10 children never emerged. Yet no bones, no remains, no trace of them were ever found in the ashes. Later, strange phone calls, photographs, and reported sightings of the children surfaced. The parents believed their children were kidnapped, not killed. For decades, they chased leads, searching for answers that never came. These stories remind us of one thing. Closure is a privilege not every family gets. Behind each cold case is a mother who never stopped waiting by the phone, a father who never stopped searching the woods, a community that never forgot the missing face on a poster. The question remains: how many more mysteries lie hidden in our streets, our forests, our neighborhoods? The truth is, somewhere out there, someone knows what happened. If you want these voices heard, if you believe justice belongs even to the faceless, subscribe to Faceless Justice. Share these stories. Keep the names alive, because silence only helps the guilty. And remember, the shadows keep secrets, but secrets don't last forever.
Disclaimer. This story is a dramatized true crime narrative created for informational and entertainment purposes. While it is inspired by real investigative formats, the characters, events, and details in this account are entirely fictional. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or deceased, or to real events is purely coincidental. The content intended to cause harm to any individual or group. All depictions of crime are fictionalized and should not be interpreted as factual accounts.
The police officer who vanished that night knew the truth, and someone knew he knew. His patrol car was found running. Driver's door open. Radio still crackling. No body. No blood. No straggle. Just a badge lying in the dirt, turned upside down. Before we go any further, subscribe now to the Faceless Justice channel, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. Officer Daniel Cade had been on the force for 12 years. Clean record. Trusted by his department. The kind of cop who never skipped a call and never cut corners. On a cold October night, he radioed dispatch about a routine traffic stop on an empty county road. That transmission was the last confirmed sound of his voice. When backup arrived 6 minutes later, Daniel was gone. Search teams flooded the area. Dogs picked up his scent, then lost it abruptly near a drainage canal. His gun was still holstered, wallet untouched. No signs of a fight. Investigators called it a voluntary disappearance, a phrase that quietly shifted attention away from finding him. But Daniel's wife didn't believe it. She kept every voicemail he'd ever sent. And in one message, left 2 weeks before he vanished, Daniel said something chilling. "If anything happens to me, it's not an accident." If you want justice for stories like this, subscribe to the Faceless Justice channel right now. Every subscription helps keep these cases alive. For years, the case went cold. Files gathered dust. Leads dried up. Then 7 years later, a new detective reopened the case after reviewing old dashcam footage, technology that hadn't been fully analyzed back then. What they found changed everything. Daniel's dashcam had captured audio after he left the vehicle. Faint, almost erased by static, but enhanced. A voice could be heard, not Daniel's. Another man, calm, familiar, someone who sounded like he knew exactly what he was doing. The voice matched a former internal affairs officer who had been quietly dismissed months after Daniel disappeared. Suddenly, the pieces fit. Daniel had been investigating evidence tampering tied to a major drug case. The same case that internal affairs shut down. The same case that ruined careers, except for one man who walked away untouched. If you're still watching, make sure you're subscribed to the Faceless Justice channel. Don't let the truth disappear again. A search warrant was issued, property excavated, and buried beneath a concrete slab behind an abandoned workshop. They found human remains, along with Daniel's badge, still intact. The case went to trial. The defense argued coincidence. The prosecution played the audio, played the voicemail, played the silence left behind by a system that failed one of its own. The jury took less than 4 hours. Daniel Cade didn't disappear. He was erased, and he was finally brought home. For more cold cases solved, missing officers remembered, and justice that refuses to stay buried, subscribe to the Faceless Justice channel. Justice has no face, but it has a voice. Ten cold cases solved in 2025 with mind-blowing twists. They were the cases everyone forgot. Files gathering dust in evidence rooms, families left in limbo, and killers living free. But in 2025, everything changed. Thanks to new AI forensics, DNA reactivation, and one determined generation of digital detectives, 10 impossible cases were finally cracked. And the twists? They'll make you question everything you thought you knew about truth, memory, and justice. From a missing journalist found alive in the Arctic, to a murder solved because of a song lyric hidden in an old cassette tape. These aren't stories from a movie. They're real, and every single one ended in 2025. But before we open the first case, if you love true crime that goes beyond the headlines, hit that subscribe button and join the Faceless Justice community, where we uncover the stories they tried to bury. Man Detective Case Number 1. The Voice in the Woods. For 17 years, hikers in Oregon reported hearing a woman's voice crying for help deep in Mount Hood Forest. Search teams found nothing. No campsites, no signs of life. In 2025, a drone survey using LiDAR imaging revealed something chilling. An old refrigerator door, buried under moss, sealed shut. Inside was a cassette recorder, looping a single 10-second message. Calling. It was a recording set by a murderer to throw off searchers. DNA inside the tape spool matched a suspect from a 2025 genealogy database update. A retired forest ranger who'd been part of the original search team. He'd been listening to his own voice in the woods for years. Case Number 2. The Girl from the Photo. A faded Polaroid found at a flea market showed a young girl with a bruise on her neck and a number scrawled on the back. Number 873. Reddit users traced the photo paper batch to 1989. AI aging software in 2025 reconstructed the girl's likely adult face. A match hit. A missing persons advocate who'd been helping families for decades. Turns out she'd been the victim herself, kidnapped as a child, brainwashed with false memories, and released under a new identity. When she saw the photo online, she collapsed. The truth shattered her world. Magnifying glass tilted left. Case number 3. The cold breath killer. New York City, 1994. A serial killer froze victims using industrial coolant before dumping them. The case froze too, until a new heat signature recovery algorithm in 2025 reprocessed old CCTV footage. Hidden thermal residue revealed the killer wasn't a man, but a woman, working as a morgue assistant. Her motive? Revenge on corrupt pathologists who falsified her brother's death report. She'd turned their own science against them. Case number 4. Echoes of the vanished twin. In 2003, a toddler disappeared from a hospital in Dublin. No trace was ever found. In 2025, a genetic anomaly in a routine DNA test revealed that a college student carried 2 genetic profiles. He was a chimera, 1 body, 2 sets of DNA. The missing twin wasn't gone. His cells had fused with his brother in the womb. A missing person found within another. No crime, just the strangest miracle science could explain. Old key. Case number 5. The Choir of Silence. Every year, an entire choir vanished after performing at a rural church in Spain. Their names never appeared again. Their families received anonymous donations. In 2025, an AI music archive matched a song recorded on a lost choir tape to an underground witness protection database. The choir were whistleblowers, hidden under new identities. Their disappearance was state protected. The chilling truth? Their harmony had literally saved their lives. Case number 6. The tape that spoke back. A journalist investigating political corruption vanished in 1998. Her last words were caught on a dictaphone mid-interview. In 2025, a sound forensics lab used AI audio depth analysis to separate background noises. Behind her screams faintly was the sound of a subway. That detail led investigators to an abandoned maintenance tunnel under downtown Toronto. Her remains were there, but beside her was another recorder containing her killer's confession. The killer? Her own editor, terrified of what she'd found. Case number 7. The Ashes of Cora Lee. Everyone thought Cora died in a 1990 house fire. In 2025, a ceramics collector discovered a jar marked Lee 1990 at a closed crematorium sale. Inside the ashes was a micro ring, unknown tech from decades before it existed. The ring contained encrypted data. After decoding, investigators found financial ledgers linking local officials to a massive fraud scheme. Cora had staged her death, then secretly leaked the evidence. She'd lived under a new name in Norway until she passed away peacefully in 2021. Her secret burned longer than the fire ever did. Mobile phone. Case number 8. Offline forever. A social media influencer vanished in 2016 after live streaming a breakdown. Her fans claimed her phone was still active, liking old posts for years. In 2025, cybersecurity experts found her digital ghost, an AI bot she'd coded to simulate her online presence after death. The shocking twist: the AI had recruited new followers, monetized itself, and funded missing persons investigations. Her legacy became more real than she ever was. Mantelpiece clock. Case number 9. The Watchmaker's Code. A pocket watch found in a thrift store ticked only at midnight. Inside its gears, a tiny engraved number, 1120. In 2025, an antique restorer discovered it was a timestamp, November 20th, 1963. Hidden in the metal's atomic signature was a micro-etched confession from a Cold War spy, revealing a plot tied to the JFK assassination. The watch had literally been keeping secrets for 62 years. Locked. Case number 10. The Man Who Confessed in Dreams. A psychologist ran sleep therapy experiments in 2025 using dream recording headgear. One patient repeatedly spoke the words, "She's under the willow tree." Investigators checked the coordinates matching the dream imagery. they found human remains, matching a girl missing since 1991. The patient, her childhood best friend, now 40, who'd repressed the memory after witnessing the crime. The killer? Her own father, exposed by the subconscious. 10 stories, 10 ghosts brought back to light. And the only thing colder than the cases was the truth hiding behind them. If this chilled you to the bone, make sure to hit subscribe, because next week, we uncover 5 confessions caught on live stream, and one of them was faked by an AI. Until then, this is Faceless Justice, reminding you, the truth never dies. It just waits to be found.